All right, folks, welcome to Nino's Corner. I'm with Juanito. Juanito, how you doing, Juanito?
Hey, bro. Hey.
I like those French fries right there.
Yeah,
Looks really
boy.
good.
I hope my supervisor doesn't see that I'm having French fries.
Well, hey,
Too many oils. Too many oils.
I've been picking out today pretty bad. I ate a lot of cookies today. I know you could appreciate that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's excellent. Jeez,
Well,
I haven't had a cookie in like a week. Actually, well, yeah, about a week.
I made up for it yesterday, believe me. Well,
Yeah.
I had to get you late. It's really, really late. Well, it's early here. I guess you could say 4 a.m. in the morning. Um,
Well,
and
actually, it's let's see, what time is it here? It's
seven about
7:08 in the evening here. So we just had a kind of a foggy, cloudy sunset. It was pretty nice.
So you're in Japan. I can say that, correct?
Oh yeah, yeah.
All right. So there's a lot to talk about today. Silver's just, shooting through the roof. There's a lot going on. I wanted to talk about,
Hmm.
what we talked about on the back channel, which was Kate Middleton.
And buy silver on any pullback. If it pulls back, probably a good time to grab your silver. So go ahead.
All right, well, folks, first of all, get your don't waste power. Don't waste power. Groceries, rent, and gas aren't the only bills rising to unaffordable levels. Energy bills are reaching record highs, with shocking 20 million households behind on their power bills. That's why I'm lowering my energy bills thanks to the amazing little device, and I absolutely love the cost. It's savings it's bringing me. Thanks to it, I'm able to slash my power bills, beat the greedy utility companies, and keep more money in my pocket every month. Sorry, folks, I can't really see this. Please visit don'twastepower.com. That's don'twastepower.com. I got this little device right here. This is the one I show, but you just plug it into your wall and it lowers your bills. It's absolutely amazing. It's doing it for me. Um, Hit the description link below and save money on your energy bills up to 66% off and free express shipping plus several other bonuses with every other order. With every order, completely for free. That's don't waste energy. I mean, don't waste power, folks. Don't waste power. This is an amazing little device. I got them on every room one.
Hey, I can tell you a story.
Uh, I know you can.
Actually, I'll tell you what. Well, no. Um, so one of my um places that I store some stuff, because I have to have like maintain the humidity where I've got my cars. And so I know what the bill is every month for, 5, 6 years. And about a year ago, I put one of the devices in there just because I maintain these humidity things and like that. It was just a side thought because I'm never there. Uh, and so I know what the bill is because it's very consistent. There's no real change in the usage there. And month to month to month. And I was shocked of even in a low power situation where I'm barely using anything, it brought the bill down about 30%. So I was pretty shocked. So you know, this is not a bad way to go. Just food for
No,
thought. I don't know.
no,
Everybody's
I
situation
try
changes a
everything.
little
I
bit.
use everything that I advertise on here. I try it first. I have them send me product and I give it a shot. And if it doesn't work, I don't use it. I don't push it. So, but Juan, let's talk about, we talked on the back channel about Kate Middleton, the drama with that. And we can be
Hmm.
very vague on YouTube, folks. She's in bad condition, from what I understand, from what Juan has said. Very.
Well, let's just put what my concern was. Whatever the actual situation is there, and I had something back just after Christmas that someone that got to me literally within you know hours of a particular incident, and then nothing more, and it was pretty grim. And I'll just leave the rest for the other channel. The question is, when people are desperate, when situations are desperate, um, some of these players are capable of just about anything. And so, um, who saw, you know, who saw the bridge getting hit by a boat? Who saw the guys showing up in hang gliders and killing, and kidnapping dozens or hundreds or thousand people or something? When these things happen, they, can just strike like snake bite. And so part of the question is, um, what drives some of these? And some of them, World War One started with a supposed uh, lone gunman killing Archduke Ferdinand in his car, a lone assassin. We had something happen the other day where somebody, one of the leaders in Europe, um, and what are some of the players capable of if they actually think that an incident over here can blow up to outer space? And so do they do something else to draw everybody's attention away? And how big would something have to be to just pull you completely off? Day before the towers came down, you had a meeting at the Pentagon talking about missing, an enormous amount of money. I don't mean billions, I mean a trillion plus, and it's a trillion six. So some fantastical amount of money, and they're trying to track it down. Then the area of the building that gets hit, and I'm being vague, I know all these details, but
Yeah.
The area that gets hit is exactly where they're running the accounting operation to figure out where the money got lost at. Okay. Um, uh, we have lots of similar things. Miraculously, after a fire didn't destroy all the records on Water Street in New York that were needed for certain things, then there's a storm and there's a flood, and all the records that didn't get destroyed by the fire get destroyed by the flood a few months later. Who saw all the documents, all the information related to goings on in Arkansas that were going to be looked at by the Senate Banking Committee, Oversight Banking Committee, and suddenly they're in a building that gets blown up by a fertilizer bomb.
Yeah.
Who sees these things coming? Are they as happenstance as sometimes they're portrayed to be, or is it, somebody trying to do something to cover up? And so if
Do you
something,
think, let me ask you this one. Do you think
yeah,
this P. Diddy stuff, everything that's happening in the entertainment world, you feel like it's is this a big circus show distraction? Is this something that is trying to take our eyes away from what really matters?
um, do I think that it's a setup to that it was planned this way or something? No, I think that that is happening because it needed to happen. It's amazing it didn't happen already. But since it's there in the news, the players behind the strings that pull you know, they're using something that's available to them, and they're going to go with it.
So it
Sometimes
is smoke and mirrors. It is kind of a distraction then. I mean, they're going to go
it's
with it.
being
It's
used.
taking the
It's going to
public's
get
attention.
pumped.
So
Yeah, if it's working, they'll
When you
stay
see
with it.
someone like Robert De Niro, I mean, he looks like he's so nervous. He looks like, I mean, he doesn't have he has not one good thing to say about Trump, nothing. I mean, he's petrified. He's terrified of this man coming into office. So many celebrities are. Why? What's why?
Well, let me just say this. Let me just say this, there's a number of the actors that look, De Niro, some of the greatest parts ever. I will say it's sometimes hard to watch some of these actors that you really like their acting stuff. Jen wanted to watch a movie the other night, and I says, I can't watch that person. It wasn't De Niro, it was somebody else. I just, knowing what's going on behind the scenes, I don't watch it. It paints stuff from their career, knowing other details of what's going on behind the scenes. Um, and uh, but I don't want to slime somebody where they haven't been to court yet. If you went on the internet stuff, all the stuff that's spoken is being actually happened with Mr. T or other people, and then you get into it. No, there's no. You got innuendo, but it hasn't been settled uh, yet to my satisfaction on a lot of stuff. So, what's good for the goose, good for the gander. I don't want to go play that game. Certainly, that people look stressed over stuff. All you got to do is go to the Golden Globes and watch it when Ricky Gervais is roasting them. And talk about people looking squirmy. Well,
Oh yeah.
okay. But that said, I think within our community, we really do want to not do what seemingly has been done to us. We have to be on a higher plane. There's a scripture in the Bible: don't delight in your enemies, uh, trauma uh, when they're in trouble and like that, or God may um, give them some relief in the midst of it. Okay, uh, we justice is coming. It's coming like a freight train. We don't have to focus on them. Actually, what we have to focus on is getting through the mess that's been created by all these monsters and do it with as much grace and style as we can.
When you say
We,
justice is coming, Juanito, when you say justice is coming, I've told, on my shows many times, and obviously I've heard from you, and you've said this, you've stated this on my shows on Nino's Corner.tv, that these indictments with Mr. T, they're not going to stick, right? They're not. I mean, he's slippery. He's going to go all the way to the election, and that's what they're worried about. And right now, they're in panic mode, trying to figure out a way to stop this. Correct?
yeah, because the reality is that so much of them and the people involved will not stand the test of scrutiny. Um, uh, the court dismissed an action that my friend Trennis Evans had filed here a week ago, and said that challenging the prosecutor and the judge there in New York on whether violating the civil rights of other Americans in other states, etc., for letting Trump campaign in this election cycle because they're bogging him down in court as part of this lawfare operation. But that'll be refiled on Monday with the changes that the court gave a little guidance on it, so it's not over. And then there's other states where people are filing similar stuff. I think that it will probably get stopped midstream because it is election interference. And then there was kind of a little game being played with the court.
You said before it hits the jury, correct?
Well, I
It'll
mean,
be stopped
it
abruptly.
it could be you know midsummer even or something. Even if they hand down a verdict, I'm not Nostradamus, and I'm not trying to be Kim Clement or something like that. I'm just telling you that the within the legal arena, what's going on there. There's plenty of for real experts that are looking at this just pulling the hair out because it stands justice on its ear and the American system on its ear to see this happening. The Speaker of the House, who has been a little squishy in helping Mr. T, showed up at the New York courtroom the other day, in part because I believe what happened, even with the Trennis filing. And there's other stuff
And
coming, and they know it.
I'm gonna bring Trennis on Nino's Corner.tv. I got to bring him on because
Please do.
yeah,
You know
I'm
what?
talking to him right now on text.
Yeah, he is. When you get the chance to interact with as many people as Trennis and I do, he's just one of my favorite allies in this whole thing. Level-headed, smarter than all get out. Not an attorney, but he's had to learn on the fly. and the work that he's done is second to none. Um, you know, one of the great assets within our community, and I can tell you for a fact that even people that are within the legal team for Mr. T, he gets to talk with them pretty consistently, pretty regularly, and they have a lot of respect for the ideas. He's kind of he's the central node for a lot of things that are going on, and so I have tremendous respect for Trennis and a J6er. He's paid his dues. But please, if you get the chance to have Bond,
He just now called me. He just now
perfect.
called
Well,
me.
in fact, he and I just got off the phone a little while ago, so
Yeah.
that's good.
So
And
one
by the way, like the rest of us, working
they figure out
24/7, I'm telling you, he
once
and
they
I were
figure out
talking
that they
2, 3
can't
in the
get him,
morning. Oh,
once they
geez.
figure out that they can't get him, right? He's too slippery
Yeah.
to catch. What next, man? I mean, this is
Well,
this.
but that's what I'm saying. That's even the thing with the other thing we put on your back channel because it just wouldn't survive YouTube. Um, and by the way, we don't do that because I'm trying to up your, you know,
I
revenue on
know.
your channel. Crap, you earn every
Our
penny
main
of it that you
shows.
make, but we can't talk completely openly in the rest of the social media. So what are we going to do, man? Come on. We had an honest conversation there, but my main point is those kinds of situations where something could get away from them. Who could have predicted the incident? You know, people having some alcohol, it's personal, shit happens, it's horrible, it's a horror. And but what are these people in positions of authority capable of for the cover up? The cover up's always worse than the crime.
What?
And so you got the situation. Look at Central Europe. You're on. You realize that both sides in the conflict there in Central Europe just did massive drone attacks. It's like a Hollywood movie. You've seen, think about this. You've seen some of the stuff on the internet where, like at a baseball or football stadium, they'll bring in a massive number of these small drones, and then they've got them set up in such a way they know where each other are, and they go out and do these amazing air shows. I mean, just stunning air shows using these drones, making faces, portraits, shapes, anything you can dream of. And they're flying around out there. And I mean, if the wind is calm enough and they can do it, they'll just do something amazing. Now imagine, and there was one of the Hollywood movies, attack on the president or the White House or whatever, and they simulated, thousands of drones coming after him to get him. And that's not just imaginary. They're doing it right now. Kharkiv is on the verge of being overthrown. Russia's going to get its buffer one way or another. And then you got various people inside of NATO talking about throwing troops at this and getting NATO involved full steam. And then even Argentina is talking about being part of NATO now. And he was over
I
in
thought that
Israel,
guy
and
was not going to do that. I thought was it Melee?
yeah, and which, by the way, they're doing an incredible recovery on their economic situation, and they really pulled something out pretty massive. But then again, when you look at the backstory, who's he in league with? Who's giving him a break? Um, and the gal that was another candidate for president, Bullrich, on the security side, she's doing a phenomenal job. If I was going to give real credit to who's, the power in that situation, it's Bullrich. She's just been amazing. But she's also one of those people. She doesn't, She doesn't have to have the spotlight to do her job and to work as a patriot. She'll do it wherever she's at. She's trying to save the country, and super person. Um, but behind the scenes, like so many of the things, you see what the media reports, but then when you know what's actually going on behind the scenes, the alliances, the connections, um, who could see the triggers? For example, when we got fully involved in Vietnam, it was based on an incident that is of questionable um, truth with the Gulf of Tonkin incident. And that led to us being in this horrendous war that cost 50,000 lives, a 250,000 injured.
Let's talk about that for a second, because they're reporting, they're saying the FBI has come out and said we could expect an attack next month, June. You know what month that is? Everyone knows what month June is. But it could be on that community, right? And they're saying they're looking to see there could be an attack in June against that community. Are you hearing the same thing? And would that be the proper distraction they need, or could that lead to multiple or many more distractions leading into November? Could this be the first of it starting in June?
Well, but I think the way you have to look at that, Nino, is how manipulable are all of these communities out there to the latest scuttlebutt. Scuttlebutt helps a lot of times because it itself is a distraction. You're looking here, you're looking there, you're anticipating this thing. And then while you're looking at one spot, it happens to another. I'll use this example. We knew within the community, because I was dealing with a lot with stuff in Libya at the time, we knew that something was coming um, in Libya. And we knew that the point of origin was going to be Egypt. That was the main event with the Muslim Brotherhood. And so we were anticipating it to the moon. And there's a lot of reasons why, because Gaddafi wasn't, he's not somebody you went for your best friend or something like that, and wonky and all that. That's all true. But he had, after 9/11, been giving every source he had to try and stop that. His son Saif had told his dad, "We don't want to be attacked next, like we were, back during Reagan. So we got to make it clear that we're not good with this." And they had the supplies to begin making, the material for nuclear weapons. They literally put it all out on a runway and told the Russians to come pick it up. It came out of Pakistan, but they had the Russians come pick it up. And they got out of that. And so they were anticipating, and we had American contractors who were in there doing all sorts of stuff in Libya. This water project that they brought in from the desert was one of the wonders of the world going on in Libya at the time, and they had lots of money. Pretty interesting situation, but I don't want to get bogged down on it. I'm just telling you it was interesting. What nobody saw that I'm aware of was that in Tunisia, next door, Tunisia for Libyans was a place they get on a ferry, take their car, go over there for a long 4 or 5 day weekend and party and hang out, and the restrictions, the controls, the burqas, all that sort of stuff was off. It was like going to Las Vegas for the weekend. Not that extreme, but it was a very relaxed society. Go see Western films and all that sort of thing. And so nobody saw a problem in Tunisia that I know of. And but all of a sudden there was an issue with a fruit vendor who was being harassed by government officials. And so it was so horrible. The story is that he self-immolated. He poured fuel over his family. Just one of those things that just it just gut wrenching when you kind of hear the details. Okay, he couldn't make a living, couldn't feed his family. He wanted to make a spectacle to make this pointed out. It gave fuel to the whole Muslim Brotherhood thing. And so when we say the um, morning in the Mid East or whatever, uh, it it started in Tunisia, not Libya or Egypt, which are all side by side by side, like we were expecting. We're in a moment where the tinder is dry. Something's coming. It could be triggered by any single or series of events. I think it's more than one event. It's like when Job in the Bible, um, it when the devil pushes the big red button, it's time. It's not just one thing. It's while you're still reeling for the first event. It was said that while Job, a messenger came to him to tell about his crops being destroyed, his livestock being stolen, uh, his children being killed. That as the first messenger was still speaking, the second messenger from a whole different area showed up to give a report. And
Well,
while
it's gonna
he's
be like
still
it's gonna be
speaking,
like
another
dominoes.
messenger.
It'll be like dominoes, like
That's a
pop, pop, pop,
very
pop,
good.
pop, pop.
That's a great. Yeah, that's a great.
So
There's
so
a
we should look at
synchronicity.
this. This is so the fun really hasn't started yet. So they know they can't get Mr. T on these indictments. So we should be looking for the shoe to fall, the shoe to drop, so to
Um,
speak. And
I think when they don't realize, or when they realize that some of the ploys that they're doing have failed,
oof,
that they aren't going to succeed adequately to take him off the ballot, to
right.
keep him from being able to campaign. What they've learned thus far is that every time they attack him, he becomes harder.
He gets more popular.
And so they're trying to figure out how they do it. So do they, instead of attacking him, do they do incidents
Right.
that none of us can ignore?
Well,
I'll tell
let's.
you.
I don't want
Well,
to
go
go
ahead.
into that too much here on Fluff Tube because it's very
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
sensitive.
yeah. I got it. I got
So
it.
so
But
let's
let me
talk about.
just say this. Let me just say this. Let's go a different direction. I just, the metals have done this amazing surge. I've talked to your people about it for a bit. When you go back just a couple of months, 3 months ago, we were, buying silver and it was down in the teens. And now it just, once it got to 29, and I told you and others
What is that?
privately that
33
that
right
was,
now? 35?
no, 31 and a half is where it
No.
closed Friday. And
Jeez.
um, but you have to think about this. You have to, don't get in the frenzy mode. Where it potentially could go is radically higher than that. It's still actually a very good buy. I expect a little bit of a pullback, but don't bank on anything. Uh, you see it come back 2 points, it's probably a pretty good buy. Um, Silver is the most mercurial. It changes price the most of the metals. It's what we call a conductor. Just like copper is up radically, also it's a conductor. Um, but the reason that's important to kind of pay attention to, a lot of the people here in the audience watch the big boys. And so JP Morgan has more silver than anybody, okay, except for God. They like to think they have that much. But what they do is they play with paper silver. And so they've been able to control the price of real silver, not just them, but all of these banking and trading groups by creating silver instruments. It's like a money machine. They print a trade for paper silver and uh, they can create new silver out of thin air. They add ounces of silver that are just paper. We promise to do this or that. When you've got a lot of silver, you can do that kind of mischief, um, uh, presuming that not all of it's going to get cashed in at the same time or something, and create an illusion there's way more silver than there
But
actually
where do you
truly
see
is.
silver going then?
Well, without people can get into hyper speculation. I don't want to get anybody completely off their rocker here. Silver is radically underpriced from where it should be from a productive side. And if you're looking at a more of a long-term steady play, silver and gold neither spin nor toil. They don't do any work. They're just a reserve of wealth. It's a stash.
Yeah.
When things get uncertain, you pick it up, you hold it, and then when things stabilize after the fact, you come back out of it because the paper currencies are very dangerous
Is that
in
why
this kind of situation.
we had a show on this and you were saying that, I mean, we kind of touched on this a little bit, but is that why you're in Japan right now? Aren't they getting ready to get hit pretty hard with a financial tsunami?
Japan's going to have. Let me just say that actually I want to stop on this for a second and pause for a second. Uh, Japan is going to get hit hard. It's already getting hit hard. The yen is down, probably going to hit 160 yen to the dollar in the next couple of days. It's
Yeah.
in almost a free fall. It was 134 a few weeks ago when I got here, and that's just like the moon difference. And I had quite a few meetings over here, and great folks. I just really enjoy my businessmen friends and
But
bank
if
friends here.
Japan's gonna have a financial tsunami, that means America's gonna get
It's
hit even
like
harder.
hikers. Oh, there's a nice little Bentley right there. If hikers on a hill, they're all roped together. If one of them falls and slides, and you're all roped together, he can pull the others with him. You can get your ice axes in the ice and like that, but it's very dangerous. They could take the whole team out because you're roped together so that you're, at least have something solid to go to. The yen is tied to the dollar very hard
Yeah.
from the work that we did and before several decades ago, almost 4 decades ago now, and never got solved. It never got pulled back the way it's supposed to. It's really very disturbing. But with that in mind, uh, Japan's actually in better shape, in my opinion, than the U.S. is. And let me tell you why. And this is what I was telling some of my friends over here. Um, you come to Japan, uh, and Jen and I have ridden the subway several times while we're here for just different reasons, and the high speed train and things like that. And people get on, and you'll be packed in pretty tight. Nobody's pushing or shoving. Everybody is extremely cordial. They're cordial on the platform. There's no railing. One bump and some kid could go in front of a train or something like that. Within the society, you go anywhere to do something. I, get a cup of coffee or get something in the restaurant. The people are hyper courteous, and it's not just because I'm an American or something like that. They're courteous with each other. Uh, there's a formality and a courtesy that is ingrained in the society, that everybody works together because they live in close quarters. Everything's pretty tight, so they have to have, I would call it a hyper courteous attitude to get along, go along, work together. On the whole, you can go anywhere and there's somebody who's going to be an asshole or an idiot, okay? But on the whole, the vast majority are bending over backwards to accommodate the next person, work around. There's a little bit older person getting that. I go to get on one of the subways the other day, and a young girl got up off her thing, was going to let me sit down. Why? Because I'm older than her, and so she was showing deference to the old guy
How
with
does
the
that
beard. Like,
feel?
give me a break. I'm not that old, please. you know, but that was why she was doing it. I wasn't quite getting that. And but that's just in the culture. It's ingrained completely. Now let me stop there.
Yeah,
Let's
and
look at a
In
different
America, they
situation.
don't even respect their elders here. They look down upon them. They worship the
Well,
youth.
let me switch for I'm going somewhere with this. So let me build this out for a second. Another thing is even in the driving, the cars. Look, these cars, they wouldn't survive on American roads because you get killed in them. You know, they have no uh, there's practically nothing between the rear wheels and the rear bumper and all that. A high impact crash, you'd kill somebody, but the speeds are generally lower here. And then there's just not a lot of parking space. There's not a lot of anything. So everybody has to be a bit more careful in their driving. You don't see people racing around the streets and like that. And the drivers are very vigilant and courteous. You ride in a cab, not like being in so many of the other cities around the world. It's very courteous. Within the infrastructure, and this is a really important thing that people have to think about. Um, Here in Japan, like I was over at one of the waterfront parks the other day, doing an interview with somebody, and I had talked with the guy before it started. He was going through picking up all the garbage. Didn't have any vest on. He wasn't an official or anything. And I ended up. He spoke some English, so we talked for like 5 minutes. And I says, "Well, so you work for the city or do you work for the port?" Doing the garbage collection. And he said, no, no, I'm a citizen here. I pick up the garbage during my morning walk. I bring a bag with me every day and I just pick up garbage. I got a
Wow.
little stick and it's good exercise. So if I see a little bit, and he said something I thought was very interesting because we have a lot of tourists here. You get more garbage here with the tourists here than we do other places. And I'm like, whoa, yeah, okay, I get that. He doesn't want the city to look like crap.
Yeah.
That's within just the general population, the culture. So then I go to the building, the street, the infrastructure uh, is extremely well maintained. It Everything works really well. It's very well engineered. The car companies, they took American ingenuity, American business style when they were rebuilding after the war and ideals. And they just love America. And by the way, they are our closest trading partner. And they took the things that were the very best part of the heart of America for generations that made America great. And then they took them to a whole new level.
Right.
So when you look at the cars, the trim, the fit, the line, the solidness, the engineering is absolutely top drawer on everything. Even the inexpensive cars are actually phenomenally well built with a lot of thought into every detail. You see it in the hotels. We're staying at one of the better hotels here in town, probably the best. But even in some of the less off the beaten track places that we've been around the country. The fit and trim, the thought in how everything works together and why it's a certain way is just over the top. So the reason I mention that is because from an infrastructure standpoint, the country is in excellent shape. If you're going into some kind of a crisis, which they are, the people have an attitude not to lash out against everybody around them, but to close ranks and work the problem. They've had a pretty hard struggle financially for the last 40, 50 years in a lot of ways. Prices are high. They're an island. Everything has to be imported because they don't have a lot of natural resources. So they have to take their own ingenuity, creativity, um, artistic
What
talents,
you're saying is that
mechanical
they're
talent.
going to survive this. They're going to survive this. Meanwhile, in America, as our bridges
Well,
are
let me
getting,
contrast it. You're in the right zone. So they're well positioned in a time of crisis that could even be calamitous to close ranks with each other on the whole, work together, and they're going into this with their infrastructure um, pretty intact, pretty kept up to date. They didn't let things get, way out of
Well,
control.
that's
Their
why
public
I'm
works
saying
projects.
that's what I'm saying is that in America our bridges are getting hit with cargo ships. I mean, you see Galveston just got cracked. I mean, this is
Yeah,
now
yeah,
happening more repetitively. But that bridge didn't come down, but it put everything to a halt. But I mean, that's all part
yeah.
of it, right, Juanito? I mean, that's where they're trying to.
Well, and so let's contrast. You're on the right path. In the United States, we're a big country. You got a lot of stuff that um, you're going to take it down. It's a big country, so you can't lose your way. But in the main metropolises, in these core locations, these big cities, they are vulnerable, and they haven't been um, all this money that's getting spent running the budget deficit to outer space is not going adequately to infrastructure. It's going to payouts for things that don't produce or do work. Um, it's just pissed away, okay, burned up. Um, and so you're not rebuilding anything. Even our military, we're not really rebuilding a lot. We're getting some really expensive stuff, but at some core root level, you got plenty of people saying, "Hey, infrastructure here, we're not doing certain things that are make us very vulnerable because we're not well maintained at a brass tacks level."
Well, Juanito, I gotta say,
So
um,
yeah,
let's finish this on the back channel because I want to talk more about Trennis Evans. I want to bring him on. Can I bring you and him on to talk about this filing he
sure,
made? Because I
sure.
think you would be able to explain it a lot better, and I can't do that on FluffTube. And then we can explain. We did the Cape
Well, let me
Middleton.
just say this in deference to Trennis, um, there is. I mean, I have a zone that I'm in there, but uh, Trennis is he can hold his own. I'd
Yeah,
love to do the show with him because he's a great friend. But I'm just telling you, he really does understand this stuff amazingly well. You won't get a better look.
and you're saying that
People
just his filing alone could change everything.
well, within that specific case and other stuff. Look, his filing, his amicus brief uh, that he did on the Colorado case where they were trying to take Trump off the ballot
Yeah,
out
yeah, yeah,
there,
yeah.
and they were getting ready to do it from multiple states. That his amicus brief is the only one that had all three elements in it that the Supreme Court sided with
Jeez,
to say that Colorado couldn't take Trump off the ballot.
wow,
Isn't the only one. Even the president's own attorneys didn't even get one right. Trent's got all three right.
wow. All right, so
And there
I
were
can bring
several
you
other
and Trennis
amicus
on then.
briefs.
Well, I'll
Yeah, I'd
call
love to.
Trennis.
I mean,
When I end this podcast, I'll call Trennis and then let you want to do a show on it though.
sure, sure, sure. Yeah, if
Okay.
he's available.
And then folks, get to Nino's Corner.tv. We talked about Kate Middleton and why that's a big deal. It's pretty crazy. That's up
Mm-hmm.
there right now. There's a lot of stuff that I try to be as vague as possible on Fluff to because it's just the way it is, folks. Juanito, man, thank you, folks. I gotta say, I mean, I do my best to bring the info that I can on this channel. Juan, thank you for coming on and tolerating being so vague.
Mm-hmm.
I
Oh, by
know
the
it's
way,
tough.
hey, the one thing too, Nino, um, I am raising prices on the uh, coins that I've got over at Jennifer's store and over at All Patriots at gumroad.com. Those are going up um, probably tomorrow. So I don't know if you get
You
this
have a
posted
silver
before it gets up.
you have a silver coin on there, right? Or something, Melania coin or
Well, right
something.
now we've got the Flotus coin there, and we've got just a handful of the 2023 Megadors left. But then I just kept a few there in reserve. But with silver where it's at, when I go to replace those, in fact, I've got to place an order Uh, I was going to do it last week and I got tied up. Oh my gosh. So, but I don't
What?
expect silver's at a new plateau and having broke 30, and I don't really expect a huge pullback because in part it's the weakness on the currencies and the demand is way up there, including for the solar collectors and all sorts of other stuff. There's a million mining costs or to the moon. In fact, I've got a when I come back stateside, it's because I have some mining stuff I have to do, and there's mines that weren't able to produce at the low prices that just didn't quite make sense. But we knew the price was going to come up radically in some of these metals, and so uh, uh, there was work being done to get ready to go back in and reopen a handful of mines on various things. And so that line has been decisively crossed. We knew it was coming, so there was work to be done, but that's been decisively crossed. So one thing I was going to say is um, the other thing that people that are in the markets can invest in is in some of the mining companies because mining companies produce a profit getting the gold and silver and copper and other
Oh,
things.
that's interesting.
Whereas when you just invest in the metal itself, that's like a bank vault, but it doesn't really do anything. It's not productive in the normal sense.
Gotcha.
America is going to get through this. And so when we do come through it, it's like, okay, do you have money that's minted into a coin that's already a known value and purity and things like that? Or do you have it still sitting in the ground, but when the prices are higher, it becomes cost effective to go after it? And some mines that might have been marginal or something, suddenly they make perfect sense in an environment where the prices have suddenly come up. So there's guys that are really good at looking at the mine stuff. You don't want to just go off half cocked. Uh,
Well,
you might do a little bit of around, but that's
that's good
pretty
advice. I'll tell you that
solid.
right now.
Yeah. So, um, uh, or a package of mines. If you've got your retirement stuff like that out there, a lot of times you can weight your portfolio different directions, and that's an alternative. You just don't want to get caught when the music stops with paper. And by the way, and the last thing I'll say, and then I'll let you cut it off there, one of the interesting things down in Argentina, and we knew this was where it was going. In fact, if you go back and look at the interviews you and I did last year and earlier this year, I said numerous times that the dollar was a pretty good bet compared to the BRICS. And Malou in Argentina is the country's coming back on their currency. They cut government costs and they've done great at getting the inflation down radically to single digits, a month now, which nobody thought was possible. But the other thing is, everybody was absolutely certain that he was going to get cornered into doing a deal to go into BRICS, uh, you know, and Brazil, Russia, India, China, and then all the other countries with it with their basket of currencies. Uh, he resisted that, unlike a lot of the other people, and then all of the prognosticators that he's going to have to. He resisted that. He hasn't aligned himself with the dollar yet or anybody else because they weren't in a strong enough position. They'd have just had to give the country away to do that. Um, but before it's over, the dollar is going to actually be a pretty solid investment, but it's not going to be the paper dollar. It's going to be the constitutional dollar. And there's a lot of drama to go
Wow.
between here and there. So you want to
Well, let's leave it there. That's
hold
huge.
that.
Constitutional dollar, huh?
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, there you
Wow.
go. There you go, bro.
That's big. I mean, I know you've hinted to that with me a few times about how it will change and it'll actually be strong, very strong. Like this is not going to last forever. So, man, that's huge. I want to
Don't
say thank you folks.
bet against America.
Get to thejennifermac.com, right? What into
Yep.
thejennifermac.com And
The
I guess you
Jennifer.
got the Jennifer Mack. I'll put a link down below, folks, and get over there. Juanito, thank you. It's I'm gonna try to go get some more Z's, man.
Yeah, what
I
are you doing
appreciate.
up past your bedtime,
I
Jennifer?
don't know,
Coffees
man.
all
I
night?
couldn't sleep, and I just
Oh, I know what it was. You're having a cookie deprivation crisis. You had some earlier, and now you have,
I do eat
and so now
cookies late
you're
at night.
having a cookie deprivation crisis. You need to have a cookie.
Maybe I
Oh,
will.
Nino, I feel horrible for you. Cookie deprivation crisis. Please go get it taken care of. A cookie a day
All right,
puts the
Juanito.
monsters away. Okay.
All
Maintain
right,
your sweetness level. Okay.
all right, Juanito.
All right, bro. Later.